Welcome to the May 26, 2022 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. I would like to call our meeting to order, and we're going to start with a public hearing. Our representatives of Robert B. Laven Flower and Lori M. Flower for the property located at 60 East Main Street here. Yes. Hi, Robert. How are you?
How are you? Good
well.
Evening, board. How are you all?
Good.
Hey there.
So I'm going to read a couple of things that the lawyers tell me I have to read, and then we'll get started.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Jamie on her new post and welcome her to the Board of Selectmen.
All righty. I move that we open the hearing to consider the application of Robert P. Lavin.
Yeah, Lavin.
Lavin Flower and Lori M. Flower for property located at 60 East Main Street for reconstruction. Do we have a second?
Yes.
And let's take a roll call vote. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Jamie.
All right. Now we're going to follow these procedures because once again, it's the state's best practices. Testimony will be limited to the issues directly related to the subject matter. Only one person will be permitted to speak at a time. All discussion will go through the chair within reason. All parties will conduct themselves civilly. I hope that's always the case, no matter what we're doing. And argument between parties we're not going to be permitted. So why don't we start by Robert, if you would state your name and address for the record.
I am Robert Flower. Basically, I just go by that. 60 Main Street, Stockbridge. It used to be East Main Street, but I think we're adopting Main for the entire length of the street. And I'm applying for a special permit for the addition of a deck to connect an existing deck on the rear of the house and an existing side porch on the side of the house.
Great. And have you guys had a chance to review the special permit application?
Yeah.
Good. So do you want to, that's it. So do we have any questions for Robert or?
I don't. It's pretty basic.
Yep, I know. Jamie, you got?
No, not that I can think of. Are the decks or new porches going to be changed into living space, enclosed later on?
No.
And does the building inspector review this?
I reviewed it with the building inspector. The change that is being made will not make the non-conformity greater. There's no impediments to the board approving.
Okay, great. And does anyone want to speak for this or against this? No? Are you sure? Because once you close the public meeting, the meeting's closed. So no more questions for Robert or no one wants to speak. All right, so I make a motion, we close the public meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Close the evidentiary portion.
Oh, wait, where are we now? I move to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and move to deliberation by the board. And Chuck just seconded it. So Patrick.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Jamie.
All right. Anybody want to talk about it or make a motion?
I'll make a motion we accept the application.
Second. All those in favor?
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Patrick. Congratulations, Robert.
Thank you very much. That was
All right.
easy.
And I'll give you a call. I want to finish our conversation we had the other day. Thank you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks very much and have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay. It'll be all so easy. All right. The next thing on our agenda is, let me find it. Let's see. On this moment. Oh, it's probably under this.
Essential workers.
Thank you. Now we're going to have public comments. So does anybody have anything they want to bring up for us to consider, most likely at a later date? Nothing? Anybody? No? All right. So just if you're watching this after the fact, we're moving the public comments to the meeting, going forward to the beginning of the meeting so that, if folks are busy, but they have something they want to bring to us that, they don't necessarily have the time to spend in the whole meeting, they can just kind of come right in and get it off their chest, whatever it is. All right, so moving on, we're going to take action on one-day all alcohol licenses for the Berkshire Botanical Garden. Okay, there's an exhibit opening on June 10th, 5 to 10 p.m., a wedding on June 11th, a fundraiser on June 13th, a rehearsal dinner on June 17th, and finally a wedding on June 25th. It's a busy couple of weeks at the end of June at the garden. Do we have anybody from the Berkshire Botanical Garden here? No? Okay. Do you guys have any comments or concerns?
Questions.
Okay.
So when they ask for a special permit, what about music, noise, traffic? Like, is that included or is this just the alcohol?
This is not just one day alcohol license.
Okay.
Yeah.
No? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the,
And I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
hi Chuck.
Hi, Jamie.
Aye, Patrick. All right. Congratulations to the whoever's getting married. And now we've got a similar one. Take action on one-day alcohol license for Chesterwood for a private reception on June 8th from 5 to 7 p.m. Same thing. Any problems, any comments? Anyone from the public want to comment? Okay, so
Make a
do we have a
motion, we
motion?
accept the, approve the license.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Hi Chuck.
Hi, Jamie.
Aye, Patrick. Another one. Boy, it's going to be the fastest meeting ever. All right, now listen, on the next one, I want to just clarify. I did check with town council because I live on Hawthorne Street across from one of the parcels that Tanglewood owns. And the opinion that I got was that I need to recuse for the parcel that the Lindy Center's on, but not for the rest of the property. But in this case, I'm just going to recuse because it's simpler. And so I'm going to step off the table and recuse for the Boston Symphony alcohol licenses, liquor licenses. And Chuck, I was wondering if you would just run this part of the meeting.
Where is it?
It's this one here.
Thank you.
All right.
Giving me that one, surprise.
Citizen Patrick.
So to take action on change the manager for the following liquor licenses held by the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Linden Center, the Volpe Studio, the Gordon Studio, Tent Club, Tanglewood Highwood Building, Tanglewood Hawthorne Tent, Tanglewood Bernstein Tent, Tanglewood Meals to Go, Tanglewood Cafe, and Tanglewood Grill. So just changing the name of the manager, correct?
Yep, they're changing the name of the manager. They list each one as a separate
Yeah.
location in order to operate all the different ones. Instead, they'd only be allowed to have one. Set up before, many years ago, it is legal for them to do it this way through the ABCC. So when they go to change the manager, they have to change it for every one of the ones that's operating there. This will then go to the state for approval.
Okay.
Okay, any questions from the public? None, any questions?
I don't think so. It doesn't really change anything
doesn't,
for
it's just change
us,
the
right?
name. of the
Operation, no
manager.
nothing,
Right.
it's just the manager. They have to
It's like a
notify us
title.
of the change, and then it goes.
I am. This is John, he's the new manager.
Hi,
Boston Symphony, nice to
should have said something. Welcome.
So it just
You're like the third person sitting right here.
He's the only guy in the room besides us.
that he's the new
He's the
manager.
new, basically,
Well, if you don't have.
he's the new contact man.
Okay,
That's right.
okay, then
You're
it doesn't change anything for us.
full-time resident here, or you?
Not Stockbridge, I actually live in Hamilton, Mass. Our previous,
Travel a little bit then?
yes, our previous director of the department left, and I have taken over the role as the interim director of the department.
Mountains of North Shore, right?
North Shore, yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I also currently hold the Symphony Hall liquor license as well for Boston.
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we accept the change in managers.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye, Jamie.
Hi, Chuck. Get accurate, Patrick.
Excellent. That was easy. All righty.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And The town, what does the town make, $1,000 for every one of these things?
Well, this one's only a change of.
I know, I'm just
for the
saying, I'm
annual.
just pointing out to folks. So, keep it up. That's 10 grand we don't have to get from property taxes. All right. Next is an update on parking at the beach and kayak racks, just informational, just trying to, keep people informed.
Because we had Parks and Rec meeting, right?
What?
Go ahead.
Yesterday, I attended the Parks and Recreation meeting. The highway department is finishing up the touches on the first phase of the construction of the parking lot. So you'll see there's a different location now for the entrance. This is going to prevent rainwater and dirt and everything else going directly into the Stockbridge Bowl like it used to come off the driveway. So that's number one reason why this was done. So it's, the first phase is done, the parking is available, it's open for this weekend. But people do need to be prepared because it is the first phase. There's still a lot of dirt. We're seeding it with grass seed. We'll let the grass grow in. You won't see the full look of it probably till next season, but there'll be some late plantings and others of flowers and other things. But right now, it's still looks more like a semi-construction site. So people just have to bear with it, but it is open and functional. And then the finishing work will happen during off times during the season. Then in the fall, a lot of the finished work will take place. And then by next season, it'll be completely done and looking great. But once the grass comes in, it'll look good. Yeah, if you take a look at it, it'll look good. Great job.
It's
Very good
much
job.
better. I like how you come in this way instead of that way.
I love how our guys did it. It was like great. It was like kind of,
It
good.
was, they did.
They did a good job. I saw Justin out there working.
The new kayak, the Parks and Rec committee had ordered 2 new wrecks to try. If they like this version, and if the people that are using them like it, we're gonna do a replacement of the older ones. So that's.
And we're gonna put those up on the grass, upper
It's up
part of
on
the
the
grass?
upper grass
Right.
part right now, and we're gonna be evaluating all that and then lay out how many we can do, what would look good, do these work better. Instead of being straight across, these are at a slight angle.
Yep.
So the kayak shouldn't fall off. That was one of the common complaints, that the
Right.
kayaks would fall off of higher, and since they were with, usually, locked on, they'd fall and they were awkward. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll take care of that problem. But we're gonna evaluate them and then at the end of the season, order additional kayak racks if this is a style that everybody thinks works
And,
the best.
and we still have Foresight working on the engineering around the change that we're gonna make to the waterfront down there.
After July 1st, because those things were approved.
I thought that we approved the work, but I thought they were working on the engineering already, or is that not true?
No, the
Okay.
engineering proposal
Was
went
part
to
of it.
town meeting.
Right, okay.
5,700 for new sand layout, NOI, design and the rest for the kayak racks and the rest. But because that is all FY '23 money.
Right.
It doesn't happen till after
July.
July 1st. That includes the money for a new roof on the building.
Yep.
So what we're gonna do is line up all that stuff to happen after Labor Day.
Good.
When the primary swim season
Right.
is done.
Okay,
So
good.
that we can begin really tearing into those buildings and the rest.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions on the beach out there, folks? Okay, then. Bathing suits are not optional, just so you know, we haven't changed that policy. All right, on to the next thing then. Status of the harvester.
So the harvester, we're still, so as many know, we had an issue last year with the harvester that it flipped. It is fully covered by insurance. The harvester is back at the highway garage, but we are waiting for a part of the motor that was ordered and has been on order for a couple of months. Once that piece comes in, they'll be able to fully assemble and have the smaller one ready to go. If delays continue in getting supplies, just like probably everybody's used to right now with anything you try to order, we are prepared to move on the larger harvester. I have coordinated with Aquatic Roots and we'll be speaking with them tomorrow about the chestnut.
Right.
Water chestnut removal.
And they approved that last night.
And that was approved by the Conservation Committee. And one of the pieces is that we really need to not cut before they get in there because it'll make it more difficult for them to identify and find the water chestnuts if we're cutting and riling up everything.
Okay.
So I'm going to be speaking to aquatics routes tomorrow. I spoke to them today. We're gonna try to finalize the schedule and then have the harvester ready to start as soon as they complete their work.
Okay.
So we're looking at the,
And are
hopefully.
they gonna do an evaluation of just that area around the island, or are they gonna do the
They're-
whole lake?
No, they're doing the identified areas last year where the water chestnuts were seen. And then they're gonna do an evaluation of whether or not we need to move on
downstream.
to a further section.
Okay.
And that.
Because it's the current, they float on the current, right? So it's more likely to be south than further north?
It could, don't know.
We don't know.
We'll let
Okay.
them do.
We'll let them do
it,
their
and then
thing.
let them give
All
us an evaluation on whether additional work will be needed in future seasons. So,
Right.
yeah.
All right, now I just want to tell you that you're already failing I gave him a secret task, which is that I got some visual issues and so, it's easy. I'm not a great multitasker, and I just noticed we passed over the first agenda item after the public comments, ARPA. So unless there's any other questions on the harvester, does anyone have any questions? We're trying to get a few parts and it's going to get there and we're not going to cut anyway until we evaluate the water chestnuts. That's the takeaway, right? Yep. All right, so let's go back to ARPA.
All right. ARPA. Originally
Okay.
discussed, last winter, we discussed the fact of, the board had wanted me to look into, first responders. So you have two sheets here. First sheet is, all the first responders, these would be firefighters and police officers that were, involved in medical calls, traffic stops, everything else that had to happen during COVID. As you know, Tri-Town Health, the towns all agreed to give premium pay to the employees at Tri-Town Health, $2,500 for their service during the pandemic. And at the time, we had discussed a couple months ago with the past board about doing this also for our firefighters and police officers. You will note that on this sheet, I have also included, because I have recommended that the board consider our custodian, Brenda, to be included in this premium pay, $2,500, because all during COVID, she was responsible for cleaning this building, the beach, bathrooms, and downtown and that. At the tourist booth, so she was may have had more direct contact with potential situations.
Right.
She never missed any time, and is a great worker and does a great job. You also note that the police chief is recommending that administrative assistant in the police department receive the full first responder pay. I also included a second sheet on the request of the chairman for all other employees, and that is your second sheet. They expanded under ARPA. They had originally only included first responders, and then they expanded the criteria for anybody that was working. The only condition they had is they actually had to report to work at a physical site. So you weren't allowed to give it to people that were fully remote during COVID the whole
Do
time.
we have any of those?
No.
Okay.
So those two are in front of the select board for your consideration, along with the memo from the police chief.
Yeah.
And,
And you feel like the administrative assistant for the police department, the chief makes the point that she had to work closely with the officers who were out in the field. Do you feel like, that she was at any more risk than the folks who work upstairs here? Because of that? I mean, I know it's a judgment call, but
you have the explanation of the chief of why
Yeah.
he thinks she deserves to be treated on the same level as.
Okay.
full.
But my question is,
He knows the work that she did on a day-to-day basis. I do not.
you don't feel like the folks who work up here were at the same level of exposure as the officers or the other first responders?
Not as the first responders and officers, no. And then,
So I'm open to suggestions as to how we approach this. We could think about first responders first and then the other town employees second. We could, there's a differential in amounts. So whether we fund it at all and whether or not the amounts should have a differential, it's another question. And then we have a couple of specific folks, if we want to, we could talk about it, or we could just take the recommendations. Any thoughts? Just so that the public knows while you're
I'm just
thinking.
thinking.
The cost for the first responders is 63,500 because you might be surprised, but we had over 200 calls a year for the medical emergencies. And so, these are our volunteer firefighters who get a stipend for each call, a small stipend. The list is actually quite long, and then there's another 17,000 based on an arbitrary, plug number that I asked Michael to put in of $1,000 for the town hall workers. So it's 63.5 for the first responders, 17 for the town hall workers. And I do want to point out that this has not come from the local taxpayer money. This is out of ARPA funds, which were funds that were provided to us based on our census count by the federal government. So.
But it comes to 19, because you added these other people at the bottom.
Right, those others are part-time employees who also, for the most part, had to deal with the public.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, yeah.
From our compactor assistant Nancy to various inspectors who still had to go in and perform inspections within people's homes.
Okay.
What about, what's your feeling on the people collecting twice?
No one is
No one's
collecting
collecting
twice. There, what I did is you can see here where I identified individuals, they were taking off.
Oh, okay.
other ones.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yep.
No, we could pay them twice, but.
No,
Yeah,
Not fair.
yeah, that's right.
And how much was the ARPA funds given?
What, 550?
Call that up. So we still have 400 and something thousand. Give me one
Okay.
second and I will call up get you the exact.
No, I just wanted to
It's
know.
about 20% of what's
approximately.
left, so, it's a significant amount.
It's over 400,000.
All right, so we have enough to, if we
Oh, yeah, yeah.
chose,
Right.
Yeah,
we have enough. Okay. Well, the townspeople would want to know.
yeah, of course. I mean, I can weigh in with my thoughts. I was gonna wait, but I mean,
So exactly after, because we did a couple things. We committed to a couple things with the Board of Health, 33,000. And
then we did the water, but then didn't we?
we ended up pulling those
Pulling that
back
back,
out.
right.
So actually, I
It's
apologize,
520.
it's 531,000.
Left.
Left.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right. So, yeah. And this is not something we need to go to the finance committee for. This is literally just the select board decides on this stuff. And so my thinking is this, basically, I think it's an appropriate use of ARPA money to compensate both first responders as well as essential workers. I know that not every essential worker is a first responder, but all first responders are essential workers. I think that the first responders were at more risk. That's why there's a differential in the amount. And I think that this leaves us more than enough to approach other priorities we may come up with in terms of ARPA money, in the future. And I think we should, get this off our plate.
Okay, the only comment I'll have is the
Almost
police
100,000.
administrative assistant.
I want to take the chief's. Are you asking or you?
I'm
what do you
just
want to do?
recommending, it's not gonna cause issues with the other town employees.
Right, because she gets twice as much
Yeah.
as like
And just,
our town employees.
Look,
I mean, if you want to table that one, bring the chief in to explain further, but I think he gave his rationale.
Yeah.
But there is, whether or not,
and then,
yeah,
Can we give her the same amount as the town administrative?
we could.
we could.
I mean, so that it's like the
If you noted, I
level?
put it in there and then
1,000.
noted beside it what the chief's recommendation is. So it's a decision of this board to
Right.
decide to,
And we go, and I'm not recommending this, but we also could go the other way, which is simply give everyone the same amount.
Well,
But
we're already like,
look at it. His argument is that she was working daily in close contact with the officers. She was at the same risk because of that as everyone else. No, I know, but it's for the public, benefit. And I don't think that is necessarily true for the rest of the town employees. And the managers recommended this, and I tend to want to, in general, defer to the managers, but,
I'm not gonna argue it.
yeah, me either. So, are you comfortable with?
yeah, I just don't want, I just always like balance, like if, But I understand if you feel she had more contact than the town employees, the town administrative staff.
Well, I don't. I'm just taking the recommendation of the chief from my perspective. Yeah. All right, well, I'll make a motion that then we grant hazard pay or whatever it's called for our, from the ARPA funds based on the schedules that you provided. And do I have a second? Is that enough? Yeah.
Yeah. I did have Kim over I had her at both, if you see her.
Yeah, so let's only
So you
give
have
them
to
one.
decide just that one, what you're doing with it.
Well, I think we just did 2,500.
And do you want to have any public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure.
gonna
Yeah,
say-
once again, thank you. That's exactly what I'm asking for. And keeping on track. Anybody have any thoughts out there on this one? All right. Well, in that case, I'm making a motion. We accept these schedules and spend what seems to be 82,500 of our ARPA funds.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, excellent. Okay. Let's see. So we've now skipped around a little bit. We're on to the next thing. Annual appointments and openings. So we have a list of openings that we have. Michael has reached out to all the chairs of the various committees to ask for folks who are looking to be reappointed, whether they want to serve another term. I find that people don't like to, some people don't want to resign because, they don't want to have to resign. So when they're up for appointment, personally, I think it's nice to reach out to them and just confirm they want to be reappointed. So we're going to do that. And then we have a couple of folks who put their names in. I see they're here tonight. Chuck and Bill have put in letters for conservation openings. And the chair, Ron Broker, is actually at dog shows on vacation this week and asked me, he wanted to be here when they're appointed. So we're going to just table that one for a week or whenever our next meeting is, if that's okay. Nothing controversial or anything like that. It was just a request of the chair. I also see that Roxanne is here. Hello, Roxanne. I'm going to suggest, but I'm open to discussion on this, that while there's a recount going on, that because the nature of serving on that board might be different, where the recount to change the vote, that we take action on that once the recount is complete, but I am open to other suggestions from you guys.
What do you think, Mike, on that? That's-
I think that's reasonable. Next Thursday, the recount will happen, and then the board could act on at the next meeting, following Thursday, on all your appointments for the.
Then why don't we just put all appointments out to the following?
Yeah, right.
To our next Thursday. Sorry.
Is
Second
it-
Thursday. meeting.
Chuck, I see you showed up. Is that okay? You understand with Ron, it was just a matter of his request. And same thing as, this is just simply a question of just figuring out, where folks might be serving from or whatever. And let's do all the appointments then at the June 9th meeting, assuming we don't add a June 2nd meeting.
Right.
Right.
I'll just book them for the June 9th meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you need
I would
don't think we need a
just,
motion to do it.
I would just put it on the June
Okay,
9th
sure.
one,
Yeah.
because June 2nd, the clerk technically has 24 hours.
Oh, right, okay.
Before
right.
within to report, so even though most likely it'll happen right at that day, and I'm expecting it to, just in case, so
Right.
I think you should do your appointments on.
Good. All right, so that's what we'll do. We're going to table that one. Excellent. Okay, so I just wanted to just have a quick comment on just how thoughts of working and, and I just had some observations of the past few years that I wanted to share too and get your take. One is, what's especially difficult I find about this job is that we all can never talk to each other, and it makes it so that, that it's often, it's for matters of substance and policy, that's fine. But for interpersonal stuff, it's easy to, because we're all talking to other people, you end up with, kind of things that are, just sometimes it's easy for people to get misunderstandings. So I wanted to just tell you that, because I can't talk to these guys, now I'm talking to the public. It doesn't really do a whole lot of good for you to comment on my colleagues to me, because I'm not going to talk to them about what your thoughts are. So my strong recommendation, if anyone brings up my colleagues to me, is going to be, you should bring that up with them directly, because I really kind of don't want, sometimes in the context of an entire conversation, if a sentence is taken out of context, then it might seem insulting, for example. So I'm going to be cautious personally anyway about really trying to focus on the work and not the people doing the work. And that's true not only for my own board, but for all of the committees and all the business of the town. I think it's great that elections are in April and May and that folks have a choice, but I'm not very interested at the town level of getting into this like 365-day a year kind of campaign like thing that we have at like the federal government level, where folks always seem to be worried about the next election and not doing the business of the town. So for me, between now and next April, I would like to just focus on the business of the town and not, I'm really not all that interested in hearing about thoughts on the personalities of the people doing the business of the town. So that's just my personal opinion. And I just wanted to let you guys know that, if I don't call you all that often, it's just because of the lawyers in the state tells me I can't. It's not that I don't think you're great, and now in terms of like some more practical things, first of all, I don't know if you guys have any comments on that in general, but
No, I had no issue.
All right, good.
He's calling me.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense, but
Open meeting law.
yep. And now my question is this, I find sometimes at 6:30 start times mean that if we have a very long meeting, and sometimes like some of the most important thing is at the end, like this one, we got this executive session on contracts with our chiefs at the end, and this isn't going to be a long meeting, but it's often hard when it starts to get to 8:30 or 9 to like be at your best, because we all get up early and, and so I'm asking if you guys want to consider starting our meetings earlier. We don't have to, but I'm open to it if you are. And I don't know if you'd rather start at like 5:30 or 6 or 5, or just leave them at 6:30. I'm going to defer to you because I have maybe more flexibility with my job, but what are your thoughts on when we start?
I couldn't go any more earlier than 6.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 6 would be the earliest for me.
And would you rather keep it at 6:30 or we want to start at 6?
I think 6:30 is fine, and just keep the agenda under control.
Okay, well, that's not my fault. I mean, most of the stuff comes from the, okay, I got
The
it.
long ones
Yeah,
are in the spring probably, right? When we're doing the finances.
Yeah, then we meet more often with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's leave it. I would recommend leaving at 6:30 and just
Okay.
keep the agenda to.
And then a couple, that's fine then.
The 8 o'clock can be a little,
I think we're going to move that one to 6:30. So, because you guys are both have,
What?
well, I think we're not going to do the 8s anymore. Is that right?
or would you rather, Chucky?
I know it is, but I mean, that was your
Morning
recommendation.
meeting's very hard on me.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so let's just do the 6:30 meetings. And Michael's going to, I don't think that, Michael has manager meetings every month, and if we need information from a specific department head, just give the request to Mike if you have any questions, and he'll get the information we need and he can present it.
So so the Thursday morning meeting was designed just to meet with department heads and all that.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that anymore. Why don't we just go back to 2 meetings a month?
I was going to suggest we do 4 meetings a month.
No, we're
So,
going to do 4 meetings a month.
Can the managers come in the evening or no? Is that because it's,
countering, yeah.
Okay, no.
All right.
I mean, you just,
No, if you guys wish to request managers to come in for a specific time, it depends. Some of our managers some department heads are hourly, so they would get paid shifts after. Other of us are salary, so it
Okay.
doesn't matter as much. I do conduct monthly meetings I have a public safety group, a public service group, and a finance group. And once again, if there's any specific questions, I can either get the answer or that at that time request that those department heads come in. And there will be times that they will come in.
Look,
So anytime you guys need to meet with a department head, they'll be here.
You can call them at any meeting.
Yeah,
If you need to talk to somebody, you can call them in any Thursday night meeting.
yeah.
all joking aside though, I'm proud of the work we did in the last, well, at least when I mean, in general, but for the last 2 years that I've been on the board, we did a lot of good work. We also had a pretty extensive list of town priorities that we articulated, I think, last fall. And there's a bunch of them we didn't get to. And I'm happy to respect having 3 meetings a month. The reason why, all kidding aside, we're going to get to that list, let alone any of the things you might want to add or take off it. I'm happy to review the list again, but it's not acceptable to me that we just run out of time because there's so much on our plates. We ran for this thing and there's things that we want to get done. And there were things on that list, especially around some of the questions around housing, around, the tax policy, many things where we already articulated what those were and we just simply ran out of time in the last session. And I want to be, look, inertia is a powerful thing and it's really easy to keep things the way they've always been. And I understand the public, God knows I've gotten a lot of advice in the last week to not overwhelm folks and to just pick 1 or 2 priorities for the year. And I'm taking that advice, don't worry. And I am also sensitive to the town hall staff and we can't give them 100 new things to do. We had a lot, we're still trying to get done from last season.
Well, you gotta realize too, all our staff is working on everything I've voted in from this annual.
Yeah, I get it.
Projects.
I get it.
And I think the more you put on the plate,
I'm not expecting to put anything else
the
on.
more
the
you
plate.
overwhelm the
Right.
employees and the less quality work you get.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of, just keeping up with what we voted on is gonna be a busy year.
I get it.
And
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like we can keep it how it is. Well, we go to 2 meetings if you want, but that just means we're gonna have later nights because the things we gotta keep on track, we got updates coming up. We're gonna have updates on the swamp shop. We're keeping a running list of the future meetings and there's a bunch of things we have that we're digesting. And like you said, I think personally, the top priority we have is infrastructure and keeping all the projects on track.
Yeah,
And that's simple, but there's a lot of projects.
Yeah.
Okay, we voted a lot of stuff in and it's going to be a lot of updates and we're gonna.
updates are quick.
Yeah, good. They are quick, but I mean, whether fair or not, I think, these meetings have to not just be about, when we're sitting at the table, we've been talking to him all week and we know what's going on and the public isn't always able to keep up with us. Sometimes we use acronyms and they don't know what they are. Sometimes they just don't know when they just want to know the status of things. And I want to be sensitive to the fact that, I think we got to do a slightly better job at when we're on these topics of not going so fast and of letting people know what we're talking about and what the open issues are. And, and sometimes, I think we have a tendency to want to kind of wait till we're done and we have good news because we finally dealt with this one topic or whatever. And then people think we're ignoring it or we're working in secret or whatever it is. I'm not interested in having folks, the town chatter filling in the gap when they don't have information. I'm tired of the chatter. So I just want to get as much information to folks as we can. So these items are going to take a little bit longer in that theory than maybe they sometimes take. Because no one's going to accuse us rightly or wrongly of not being transparent. That word that everyone uses that isn't really well defined. So, that's where I'm coming from.
So last year, did you have a meeting every week or every other week?
3 times a month.
3 times. Okay.
Morning meeting was primarily used for department
Okay.
heads and then
2 regular meetings.
right during the time that we were putting finance together, it was agreed on in April and May that we went every Thursday for a 2-month period
Just on
with joint
finance.
meetings, but with those meetings were specifically designed as joint finance meetings, and the selectmen's meetings were a little bit of finance, but then the business that the select board had to do.
Okay.
I mean, I
So-
would like to try the 2 a month, and if we need to go back to 3, to go to 3. But
Well, that's what I was wondering. Can we have flexibility to add a
we
meeting?
can add a meeting anytime you want.
We can.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, okay. So why?
Chairman
can't
has-
we-
The chairman can call a meeting at any time.
All right, first of all, we're only gonna have 2 in July because, July's got the holiday,
Holidays.
placement of holiday and,
But I mean, I went online and looked at, Pittsfield City Council, North Adams, Barrington, Lee, Lennox, everybody.
It's twice a month.
Twice a month.
In Great Barrington?
And they're big. So I'd like to try twice a month, being we're not doing a Thursday meeting, and Mike will bring it, if we got to call somebody. And if you find that we're falling behind, we'll call an extra meeting here and there.
Like busier periods, we could.
is that what you want? Rather do 2? All right. Well, I'm okay with that.
If it gets, I think I'm with Chuck, if it gets really heavy, then we break it down. We'll
We'll
go.
call another meeting that month. We'll do 3 that month.
Okay.
I mean, I got no issue with that.
But in the summer, I don't think it'll be that busy.
Yep. Well, I look at,
So to know, like projects at the town, at the level that were approved at town meeting. So I'm already working on contracts for foresight for engineering already, and I'll come back in June to report all, where the status of all those projects are, as far as getting them, out there. And then a lot of, I met with like Laura this morning for the green committee, and we talked about getting,
Like-
we have a list of 3 or 4 things we want to get to the selectmen, but we want to get it to a point where it's at about 70% discussed at the green community level.
Right.
Then bring it to the select board to say, here's what we're thinking. Do you guys support us taking, just like we did with the streetlights, which I think was very efficient. We, at the green community level, we went through, interviewed, brought it all the way, and then brought the proposals with a recommendation of select board. The select board appropriated, we went the next step, and now we're actually at the final stage, and as soon as we have a date, we'll be announcing the date of the changeover for the streetlights.
and it's certainly easier on things like the agenda, because, we meet tonight and, literally we're scrambling tomorrow to like kind of put something together. And then I would like to start to give you guys a heads up as to what the potential agenda is, especially if we're only meet once every 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, if it's a 5-week holiday, 5 Thursday month, then 3 weeks is a long time, but we can try it. But I would like to just start sending you guys the agenda, which I'm allowed to do, just so that,
Can't discuss it, so.
we just can't discuss it. I understand. I'm just letting people know.
Unless we go to a 5-member
Yeah,
board.
yeah. So, it's going to be important, the public then, where we're only meeting twice a month, it's going to be really important that if there's things you want to see us discuss, that you give us a heads up, because if I don't get that heads up, then it could be a whole month before we can then get to it, because, we're gonna, obviously. So,
But Patrick, we're also saying if it doesn't work, we'll go to 3.
yeah, well, yeah.
And sometimes it's good, like with the finance, that middle meeting becomes a more specific meeting.
Right.
Such as we talked, Chuck, you brought up about the intersection.
Oh, it will be if we
So
do
maybe
a
what
third
we
meeting.
need to do is
it'll be-
have a third meeting, like specifically maybe in July over the
Yeah,
intersection.
Yeah, well, and,
that's a good
and,
idea.
and the,
We're not overloaded having 4
well,
meetings.
the first thing I want to have is, and I didn't put it on the agenda for tonight because I want to kind of clear as much stuff off our plate as we can in terms of like, digesting all of the things that we approved at the last time meeting, which is significant. But at a meeting sometime in the next month, I would like to start, and maybe I'll do that on the 9th then. I would like to give you guys an opportunity to talk about 1 or 2 things that, if any, that you want to have as a priority, like the intersection. So there's 1 or 2 that I am going to bring up that I'll do at that meeting. And Jamie, if you have anything that you want to do, we'll do that at the June 9th meeting then, and then figure that out. But we talked about information around, looking at the residential exemption and, educating around that so that we're ready to consider it.
So, yeah, so.
And then we have the, so just saying we've got, but that's fine. Just we need to be a little more organized going to the meetings, or at least for me personally. And I can live with 2. Is that right? Good. Okay. Anybody else have any public comments on that sort of stuff?
No hands raised.
All right then.
We're already down to executive.
All right. Well, I'm going to then adjourn, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public meeting and,
Nope.
no? Oh, I have to read the thing. Yeah, okay. I'm supposed to read
You have
this
to read
thing.
the opening.
This is why our legal budget's 40,000. You know, okay, where is
This
it?
one's not run by legal, it's all.
All right, whatever, I'm kidding. Yeah. All right, Chair, that's me, right? Yep. I move that we open the executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, police and fire chiefs. This requires a roll call vote. So do I have a second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Jamie
Hi,
Manette.
Patrick. And then we will not return to public session, so thank you all for coming. Always feel free to reach out if you have any comments. If you're watching this, I would love to hear if there's anything that you liked or didn't like. You know, in real time, just write me a sentence or two. Let us know what you're thinking. You know, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Really nice
Nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Good luck.
Thank you.